What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. The Champions League is back. Can we get a Champions League? Can we get a Champions League?
Come on.
Come on.
Let's do it.
The Champions League is back, people. And Spurs face Marseille in the opener tomorrow night at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And you've got to say, an informed Marseille to contend with. This, when you're looking at the Champions League draw, these were the ones that came in pot 4. So you would, you know, in some sense say they might be the easiest tie in the group. But it's not that case this year, is it?
Definitely not. And I think we definitely got probably one of the hardest, if not the hardest, pot 4 team. I think they're probably the hardest one in the group, I would argue as well, considering how they're playing at the moment. They got to the Conference League semi-finals last season as well. They've started the season really strongly. And I think that, you know, the finishing second in the French league isn't to be sniffed at. I think they're a decent team. And Igor Tudor, the Marseille manager, is doing quite a good job. I think that it's going to be a very difficult game, and they also might have that extra motivation considering some of their players they have. And I think that can be a case, I think, as well, because I think you saw the passion specifically for people like Guendouzi, Sanchez. I know Payet's injured, but these kind of players had when they played against us.
Yeah.
Tavares, when they played against us.
Kolasinac.
I'm saying Guendouzi and Sanchez, they like up their game when they played us. You know what I mean? They had that passion. So whether they're still going to harbour some of those feelings, that could really impact the game.
Yeah, I think any Arsenal player that's going to come into this game, knowing they're facing Tottenham, knowing that they've been in an Arsenal matchday squad in a North London derby, they'll know what it means. And they'll have that sort of extra motivation coming from the Arsenal side of things. So, look, it is a danger, but I think that when you're looking at the two teams, there should be one winner here. And I think when the odds suggest it in the betting markets, I think 1.5 for Spurs, 7-1 or something for Marseille.
7-1 for Marseille to win.
6-1, something like that.
Big.
So it's massive odds. And when you're looking at Marseille, looking at this form, absolutely sensational form, even away from home, 2 wins and a draw this year, 3 wins at home. They're top of the league. They're joint top with PSG in the French league, scored 9 and only conceded 2 in their last 5 games. So you're talking about a team that is on good form. People in the comments saying Sanchez is suspended.
That's actually
for this
correct, because he got sent off for Inter Milan in their last game against Liverpool last season.
Well, that's a massive plus for us.
Yeah,
so they're probably going to have to play that Luis Suarez up front.
Yeah, who played on the weekend. I think he's from what's it, Girona? I think he was from.
Yeah, I'm not sure where
Spain.
he's come from, to be fair.
I'm pretty sure he used to play for them. So, I think he's been in good form for them as well, Sanchez. He started the season really well. So with him being out, that's going to be that's very, very positive. And so Sanchez is suspended, potentially Payet injured as well.
With those two players, they're 2 big players, Alexis Sanchez and Dimitri Payet. You've got to say they're probably 2 of their best players. So it's a massive plus for us, that.
Yeah, massive. Yeah, it's very big. To their best attacking players as well. So I'm pretty happy with the ability we have going into this game, the form we're showing, and as much as they're playing well, and I don't think you can take anything for granted, or I don't think you can underestimate them. I think we got to go into this game with confidence that we're the better team. We're playing very well at the moment, and we got to show our dominance going into this game.
We're heavy favourites for this group, right?
Yeah.
And we can't rest on our laurels with that, and we can't come into these games thinking they're already won. We need to come in with the right mentality, and I think Antonio Conte will definitely instill that in them. And when you're looking at the teams in this group, Marseille, Frankfurt and Sporting Lisbon, you really think that we should be beating these sides, but we can't take that for granted, can we? We need to come in with the right mental head, with the right mentality, and get the job done, because it's so easy. We've seen that in the Conference League groups. We've seen that in the Europa League groups. You know, only last year, or was it 2 years ago? We lost last year, where we lost to Mura at home or away. So I think that it's so important to come into this game with the right mentality.
Yeah, and it was not so long ago where we had a supposedly easy Champions League group when we had Monaco, Leverkusen, and Moscow, and we didn't make it out. And that was under peak Pochettino. That's when we were playing really well. So nothing can be taken for granted. You also got to look at the aspect of Conte's record in Europe. He's only had last 2 efforts for Inter Milan. He hasn't made out the group stage, and that is something he's going to want to look at and improve on and not take for granted. And I wonder if Conte has the extra motivation to maybe prove people wrong in this competition, going into this season because of that record hanging over him. What
was his record there for Chelsea?
He played 1 year and they got knocked out in the last 16 to Barcelona.
Barca, yeah.
Messi scored a hat-trick. I remember that.
Yeah.
But I remember there in the first leg, they battered Barca and they were very unlucky to draw 1-1. And then they end up losing the second leg. That he's never made it further than the quarter-final. And that was in his actually first attempt at Juventus back in 2013.
So it's not true that they say that he's never won a knockout round in the Champions League?
He has. I believe he made it to a quarter-final. That's the furthest he's ever been. I don't think he's won a knockout round in a while. I think it's nearly 10 years. But yeah, he has won one. But only one, I think.
When you're looking at Marseille, when you're looking at Spurs, they play a very similar formation, similar tactics. How do you think Spurs approach this game, first of all? And what do we do with the Son, Richarlison, Kulusevski headache?
It's a good question. And that is not something I envy Conte for deciding on, because wherever you slice it, it's someone who doesn't deserve to miss out is probably going to miss out. I do believe Son and Kane are both going to start, so I do believe it's going to be a choice between Richarlison and Kulusevski. That's my prediction. And Richarlison had such a good game against Fulham. You don't want to leave him out, but then Kulusevski, I don't think was left out because of performance. I think he was left out just to rest him. So does he also deserve to lose his place as well? Also,
a massive game at the weekend to think about as well.
And also, you got City. I mean, that would obviously come into his thinking, but I don't. But when it comes to this game, I think it's all. I think the concentration has to be on this game. I don't think you should be planning for City right now. This game is too important to be thinking ahead. So I think he's got to make sure he gets the best 11 for this game sorted, and then you can start thinking about City after. So I don't think I don't think that's going to be in his mind when he selects his team, in my opinion, for this one. It's very early in the season. I think players can play multiple games, so I don't think it's too much of an issue right now. But I don't know which one he goes with. I don't know which one he should. Part of me feels like maybe go with Kulusevski, just because.
Kulusevski and Son.
Yeah, Kulusevski, Son, and Kane. Just keep that front free, maybe, and then once we can get the opening goal or so, then maybe we can start to bring on Richarlison. I don't know. You can make a very good case for either one. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to that question. I think either one will probably do a good job for you. It's just about which one you prefer.
I kind of think after Son's performance on the weekend, where he played well, but obviously did everything but get on the score sheet, I feel like all he needs is a goal and he's going to be back to his best, Sonny. So I feel like playing him through this game, and it's very likely that if he does play, that he can get a goal in this game, or he'll get an opportunity to score a goal in this game. So I'd like to see Sonny play, but then again, Richarlison has done everything he can to keep his name on that team sheet, hasn't he?
He has.
It'd be so unfair to keep him out.
Yeah, but it would be unfortunate. But he'll have loads of games where he's going to start, and he'll probably play a good half an hour as well in this one if he comes off the bench. I just feel like if Sonny can get a goal before the City game, that can do wonders for his confidence going into that game. Where I really believe he's going to be a massive player for us at City away. So I feel like he is going to start him, and he's going to make sure that he has every opportunity to break that duck going into that game on the weekend. So I do believe it's between Rishi and Kulusevski. One thought though is I wonder if he could ever contemplate playing Kulusevski at wing back and putting Richarlison in the front three. I don't think he will do it this game, and I don't think he's going to do it in the near future. But maybe that's one option to contemplate, because just imagine Kulusevski picking up the positions Emerson does, and then having him there linking up with Richarlison on that right hand side. And then with a Perisic on the other side. I mean, how unpredictable would we be in that scenario? It would be delightful, but I don't think it's a realistic scenario for this game.
I think it's an option to maybe change it mid-game when we're struggling in a game where we need a goal late on or with half an hour to go to really force the issue. But I can't see him starting with it anytime soon anyway. I think similar thinking to you. But when you're looking at Marseille and maybe what lineup they might be playing, let's have a look at the predicted lineup we have picked out for Marseille. So you got Paul Lopez, former Spurs player, in goal, Kolasinac, Balerdi and Chancellor Mbemba as a back three. And don't forget, they've also got Eric Bailly there on loan, I think, from Manchester United this year. In the midfield, you're looking at Tavares, left wing back, who was clowned on most of his year last year at Arsenal, but he's actually joint top scorer with Marseille this year with 3 goals with Alexis Sanchez. On the other side, you've got Jonathan Klaus, who was linked with Spurs last year, had a sensational season. I think it was for Lens in the French league last year, grabbing like 11 assists. And I think he's already got 2 or 3 assists this year for Marseille. So he's carried on where he's left off. You've got Veretout, who was at Roma last year.
Former Aston Villa player.
Former Aston Villa player as well. You've got Rongier, who will probably captain the side on the night, seeing as Dimitri Payet's out. And then the front three, Guendouzi, Gerson, and probably Luis Suarez up front. Not the Luis Suarez, which I thought at first, but it's not. But Guendouzi, what do you make out of Guendouzi playing a bit further up the pitch now?
Yeah, I'm not so. I mean, I don't watch Marseille week in, week out, so I can't comment about whether he's very good in that role. All I know is he was a very talented player at Arsenal. I thought they were actually very hasty to let him go. I'm not really sure why it went so wrong at him for Arsenal. Arteta kind of got the hump with him, and it was kind of like once more Arteta made his mind up, he wasn't going to let him back in the team.
Yeah, I mean, apparently there were a few disciplinary...
He never played again after that incident in Morpie.
Yeah, but apparently there was stuff that went on before that, and that was kind of like the last straw for Arteta. And you know Arteta, I mean, it's not the first player he's done this to, and it won't be the last.
Exactly. So he's he's very talented player. He gets in the France squad on a regular basis nowadays. He obviously was a good centre mid at Arsenal, but maybe he's found a more offensive style of play at Marseille, which would surprise me because I didn't see him as the most offensive player. I saw him as more of a Kovacic kind of player, you know, in the centre who's good at dribbling and progressing the ball, but I didn't see him as much of maybe a assister or goal scorer. Maybe that's something that's he's found a new position there.
But to be fair to him, he tops the Marseille charts for assists this year.
Well, there you go. So maybe that seems to be working. There's a reason why they're playing him there, aren't they? So I think he's definitely one to watch because he's a good player and he's going to have a lot of passion going into this game. He's a bit of a shithouse as well that we've seen. So it's going to be interesting if who's going to be the bigger shithouse, him, Romero, or Richarlison.
Is this just going to be a game? Is this like the shithouse derby? Is this just going to be a game of shithousery for pretty much all the way through?
I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't be surprised because there's a lot of players with those kind of tendencies in this game, and he's definitely one of them. On the bench as well, they've got Jenkins Under, who used to play for Leicester and used to play in Italy as well. So I thought, was it for Roma? He used to play for Roma, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he did.
So he's also a good player who could maybe affect things in the final third, maybe off the bench or if he starts. So he's also one to watch. So look, they've got the makings of a pretty decent looking team, and the fact that they're second in Liga, they're unbeaten, 5 wins, 1 draw. They're keeping pace at the moment with PSG, goes to show that at the moment. They finished runners up last season as well. So this is not going to be a walkover. Liga is not, I know obviously people call it a farmers league, but I think it's a better league than people give it credit for. And I think if you're second in that league, it's going to be a difficult game. But if we're at our best, then hopefully it'll be no match for them. But it's definitely going to be a difficult game, I imagine.
Yeah, and we saw last season how hard playing teams in the French league can be when we came up against Rennes. You know, they were no pushovers, no slouches, and I think Marseille are a better team than Rennes. So
they slapped us 3-0 at the Tottenham Stadium.
But you know, I mean, Spurs were in a much different place then than they are now. I mean, crazy how much difference a year makes for Tottenham, but. How do you see the game going here? I mean, there's going to be an electric atmosphere. When there's an atmosphere like that at Tottenham, under the...
Yeah, I think so as well. And I think that the fact that we're back, apparently there's a bit of lag. Okay, we'll try and sort it out. I don't know if there's no data, I think. All right. Apologies about that, guys. This is really frustrating.
You're live.
We're live. Okay, we're back. So I think the fact that we haven't been in the Champions League for a couple years is definitely going to help us going into this game, not take it for granted of being our absolute best. And I think as well, the fact that Conte's record in European football isn't the best, and the fact he maybe wants to prove something, I think that we're going to be well up for this game, and we know and sense the importance of this game. I think the fans will too, and it's not going to be one of those occasions where the fans are quiet and we're just like going through the motions. We're going to be well up for this game, so I think that's going to make a big difference, and I think it's going to make a difference, and I think we're going to win the game.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be there tomorrow night, seeing that all-white strip under the lights at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with the Champions League music ringing out. And for all you Arsenal fans, that forgotten what the Champions League music is like, just go on my channel, go on the channel and see the clip from my wedding, because that's the only time you're going to be hearing the Champions League music. But I'm very excited for tomorrow night, really am, and I think that we're going to be on it from minute one. I really believe that, and I think the fans are going to drive the team forward. I don't think the fans will let Spurs have a quiet start tomorrow, and I think once an early goal goes in, I think the floodgates can really open tomorrow night.
Yeah, let's hope so, and I think as well, with there some big players missing as well for Marseille, hopefully that can help us have a bit more confidence defending, and if we can maybe force issue a bit and have confidence in our back line, that could really help us maybe press a lot higher and be a lot more confident getting players forward. So it'll be interesting to see what lineup Conte plays and things like that, but we should be well on top of this game.
Absolutely. What's your score prediction for tomorrow?
I'm going to go 3-0.
3-0?
I think clean sheet. Clean sheet tomorrow, and I think we get 3 goals, and I think it's going to be a dominant display.
Well, do you think chances for Lenglet, Bissouma, any
Longley for sure, 100% Longley. I think it's a very good chance he starts the game. When it comes to Bissouma, I believe he's going to stick with Bentancur and Højbjerg. I think it's a very important game, and unless he believes Bissouma has caught up tactically during the midweek, I think Højbjerg. I think he's going to stick with Højbjerg and Bentancur for this one.
What about Matt Doherty? I've got a feeling he could start tomorrow night.
There's a very good chance he could start because we know Emerson is very likely to start the weekend. I think Perisic is probably going to start this one as well. So maybe it gives a chance for Doherty to try and get back in the team, because he's been struggling with injuries. And he needs a chance, and maybe this can offer it to him. But I wouldn't be surprised if he just sticks with Emerson either, because Emerson's kind of been fairly reliable on that side so far.
I'm going to go 3-1 to Spurs. I think we can definitely get 3 goals tomorrow night with the attacking talent that we've got. At the back, they do have some players that can hurt us, and they seem to be on form and scoring a lot of goals this year. So I think they can find a goal from somewhere, but I do believe it's going to be a fairly dominant display from Tottenham tomorrow night. And I think sometimes there's just a sense of inevitability around things when the atmosphere's like that under the lights at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I mean, I was saying to someone the other day, like, if this was a 12:30 kickoff on a Saturday, we'd probably lose it. But because it's under the lights at the with the Champions League music and everything like that, sometimes there's a sense of inevitability around things. So I'm going to go 3-1. My brother's going 3-0. That is our match preview. Have we got any guests?
Okay, we're trying to get guests back in a sec. But it's now a chance to have your say. Let us know what you think of the game on Wednesday and whether you believe that we're going to have a positive performance and result on Wednesday, because it's a very, very big game for us. And I think the fact that we've been out of the Champions League for 2 years has a bit of a sense of occasion with Champions League football coming back to Tottenham. So I for one, I'm very much looking forward to the game on Wednesday, and I can't wait to... I can't wait for it, to be honest.
Yeah, and the club understand that as well with the messages they're putting out, and it's going to be a really good occasion tomorrow night, and the fans are going to be in full voice. And when you're looking at the last time we were in the Champions League, I saw the lineup when we played Leipzig that day. Oh my God, how far the club has come since then. Massively.
We were playing the front three of Dele Alli, Lamela, and... who was it, Bergwijn or Lucas? I think it was Lucas. We was absolutely horrific in those days, and it's because we had Son and Kane out injured, and we got out. It was a whimper. We went out with a whimper, and we now have a much better squad now, and it's that hopefully we can make a difference. But in terms of Conte and his reputation in the Champions League, what do you think he needs to do this season in the Champions League to kind of put to bed those kind of talk? Is it a case of literally until he wins the Champions League, it's always going to be there, or is there certain things he can do this year to kind of get that talk away?
Well, I mean, there's stuff hanging over Pep's head with the Champions League, and he gets to finals and semi-finals and stuff like that.
But he's won it twice.
He has won it twice, but that's what I'm saying. People keep going on, oh, Pep can't win the Champions League and stuff like that. He didn't win it with Bayern Munich, hasn't won it with City yet, and people are always clowning on him for not winning the Champions League, and Conte is much worse than that.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting one. I feel like, for me, I think Spurs just need to look good in the Champions League, go on a deep run in the Champions League. I mean, when you look at
minimum quarters, semis?
Yeah, something like that. Quarters, I think. I think quarters would be a good haul for us this year. Hopefully to get further than that. But I think if we get to the quarters, then people will probably look at the Spurs' Champions League run in a positive light.
If we go out in the quarters, though, I guess it depends who we go out to. But let's say we go out to a team who's not like Barcelona or Man City. We go out to like a Dortmund or something. Like, does that still have a stain on Conte's record? Like, will people still have that to throw at Conte that he's no good in Europe?
I think so. He needs to beat the teams that are, well, I think that we can actually beat anyone on our day, but I think if he goes out there and loses to, like, I don't want to say a lesser team, because they're not really a lesser team, they're still a top quality side.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm trying to say, teams that are not at the top of Europe.
Yeah, like
the Real Madrids, the Barcelonas, the Man Cities, the Liverpools, you know what I mean? Those the Juventuses, those kind of teams. If we go out to a Dortmund, we've shown over the years how we can handle Dortmund. So we shouldn't be going out to Dortmund. We should be swatting Dortmund aside, in my opinion. So if we get them in like a quarterfinals and we lose to them, it is a blot on Conte. And that's my opinion.
But if he gets to a semi-final, at least, maybe that would go a long way to showing people that he can, especially if we're going well in the league.
It depends who we beat and who we go out to.
If we get to a semi-final, I don't think it matters.
If we get to a semi-final and then lose to a team that we should be beating, then that narrative will start forming again.
Potentially, but at least that's further than he's ever been, and it shows that he can compete on both fronts, especially if we're going well in the league. Yeah, and maybe either challenging or cementing our top four space. It's an interesting question because that for a lot of people, that's what stops Conte being in the same conversation as a Klopp or a Guardiola, because his record in Europe, I say Europe in Champions League, because he did get to a final in Europa League, although they lost.
Who did they lose to?
They lost to Sevilla in the final, 3-2. So his record in Champions League is not the best, and that's what's stopping him. So I wonder if, for Conte himself, he wants to put that right as well, if he has extra emphasis on that, or is he not really bothered and he doesn't take too much notice of it?
No, I think he will, and I think his Champions League record will hurt him a little bit, because you know how much of a winner this guy is. You know, anytime he's not winning, even just one game, he gets so frustrated and so angry with himself.
If he obviously he doesn't have to be with Tottenham, but once he wins a Champions League, does he go immediately in that conversation with Guardiola and Klopp?
Yeah, I think so. I think because when you're looking at his domestic...
Especially if he is with Tottenham. If he is with Tottenham, 100%, surely.
If it's with Tottenham, if he wins a Champions League with Tottenham, he trumps Guardiola and Klopp, first of all. But I think if he wins a Champions League, when you're looking at his domestic record, his domestic record is better than Klopp, and probably not better than Pep Guardiola, because...
probably not better than him.
But Conte's domestic record is as good as anyone's, pretty much, apart from Pep Guardiola. So once he gets that European thing off his back, and I trust he will, then I think, to be honest, I think he's in the conversation with them anyway, to be honest, without even the European. I think that when you're judging between Klopp and Conte, you'd probably say Conte's got a better CV than Klopp.
Yes, no. I think why Klopp you would argue is better. It's just because he kind of builds things at clubs and stays there for longer, and he builds them up from maybe potentially lesser positions than Conte does, and he builds them to be regular challengers, title-winning challengers, and winning. He's won Champions League. He got to a Champions League final with Dortmund and then won it, and got to 2 finals with Liverpool.
But in his career, he's only won 2 titles, right?
Yes, but he's won 2 titles. But winning one with Dortmund up against Bayern Munich.
Yeah, that's super impressive.
Really impressive. And then obviously winning one with Liverpool up against Guardiola's Man City is also super impressive.
It is impressive doing that with Liverpool, but also on the other hand, Liverpool have been spoken about as one, if not the best team in Europe at times, and people were talking about them being better than Man City, even when Man City won the league. So I actually think Klopp would have thought that he would have won more league titles by now at Liverpool.
Yeah, but you're coming up against one of the best sides, if not the best side in history, in Premier League history. So Liverpool wouldn't be this good without Klopp. That's the reality.
That's the facts of the matter.
So the fact that people say they've underachieved because they're one of the best teams and Klopp should be doing better, well, they're only that good because of Klopp. So
how upset actually can you get at that when you hit over 90 points and still don't win the league?
Exactly. It's nothing to do with how good they are. It's just they come up against an absolute freak of a team in City.
And they're a freak of a team themselves.
Exactly. So for me, that's probably what separates Klopp and Conte. But if Conte can build something at Tottenham, then he goes into that conversation, I think. If he builds something and wins a major trophy with us, and he stays here for a few years, I think he gets into that conversation.
If Conte wins the league with Spurs, how does that compare with Klopp winning the league at Dortmund?
I think it's a much bigger achievement, in my opinion, because in Germany, you're up against one team, it's Munich. You either beat them or that's it. At Spurs, you're up against City, Liverpool. Then you've got the other teams. You've got Chelsea, who win leagues as well. Then you've got other teams like United and Arsenal, who also obviously not going to be title challenging, but they're massive teams. So
but the landscape is different, though, isn't it? Because like the landscape in Germany is Bayern Munich, by all the best teams from all the teams, especially from Dortmund. They've won the league like 10 out of the last 11 years.
Yeah, but it wasn't the case when they won it. They were the best team, Bayern, but when Dortmund won the league, it wasn't the case that Bayern were as dominant as they are now. Despite they were dominant, but they weren't as now. It's just ridiculous. Like when Klopp won it, it was kind of they were still the main team, but they were a bit more closer to Bayern than the gap is now.
Which is credit to Klopp.
Yeah, 100%, and that's a massive credit to Klopp. I think now, if Conte takes Tottenham and wins the league, I think that might trump anything Klopp and Guardiola have ever done, in my opinion. I can't think of a bigger achievement they've achieved. I don't know. I can't, unless you count maybe did Guardiola win a treble with Barca? Maybe you can count that, but I can't think of many achievements that would trump that, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, just their whole careers as a whole, Klopp and Guardiola, is just insane, isn't it?
Yeah, but you're talking about as a single achievement. I don't think anything would be as impressive as that. What
does trump it? Obviously, Leicester winning the league.
I think
what other achievements in kind of modern day football is better than maybe what Conte could do winning the league?
United probably winning a treble.
Arsenal going undefeated.
Recent, yeah, probably that would be up there. Yeah, they're not many, so that's why it would be one of the best sporting achievements in a recent memory if Conte was to do that, in my opinion.
Super chat here from Ben Kaufman, member for 40 months, says, big up lads, let's go at them tomorrow together. Absolutely right, Ben. We had another one here somewhere as well, here from Alex Harris, saying, I'm sitting next to the players tomorrow, buzzing.
Sitting next to the players. You're on the bench, mate.
Well, what position do you play? We'll add you into our predicted lineup.
Looks like the presser. Is he doing the presser?
I heard 2 o'clock.
Yeah, they do. Looks like doing it now. So we might get some team news for you very, very soon. Looks like Lloris is doing the press conference as well. So we'll get that up for you on the channel as and when. But yeah, looking forward to it. So we got any? What's going on with the guests?
Do we have any guests?
No.
No? Should we carry on waffling?
None of you want to come on and have your say on the Marseille game? Let us know, because we are taking guests at the moment. if you get if you call in, the link is in the community section, and you can have your say on Spurs and the Champions League.
When you're looking at the Champions League as a whole, who are your favourites at the moment? Well, obviously, you've got Man City and Liverpool.
Man City every year are always going to be favourites. Liverpool just have something special with the Champions League. Even if they're not doing as well in the league, they seem to have something very special with the Champions League.
That year that they didn't do well a couple of years ago, didn't they get knocked out like quarterfinals to Atletico Madrid or something?
Yeah, but they got a bit unlucky and they should have batted them. But yeah, no, they did. That was actually the time they won the league.
They won the league that year. I thought that's the year that they had Van Dijk out and all that.
No, that was who did they get knocked out in that year? No, it wasn't. I think that was the year they won the league. The year they had Van Dijk out, who did they lose to? I can't remember. I don't think it was Atletico though, because I remember that Atletico game was right before COVID. It was literally like a day before, so I don't think it was that year. I think it was the year before. But I remember, 1 year in Klopp's one of Klopp's first 2 years, they got to the final. They finished like 4th in the league. When most had a great season. So Liverpool always going to be there, especially with Anfield. It's just an incredible European stadium. Like they're a bit ridiculous when it comes to that.
So what was the year that they had their injuries? Was it
2021?
They lost to Real Madrid.
It was Real Madrid
in the quarters. Yeah, the year before that they lost in the last 16 to Atletico.
Yeah, thought so. That's the year they won the league.
And then obviously last year they got to the final against Real Madrid.
They've played 3 finals, once against Spurs and twice against Madrid.
In the last 5 years, they've been knocked out to Madrid 4 times. They lost to Real Madrid, then beat us in a final, then lost to Atletico, lost to Real, and lost to Real again.
They must hate playing in Madrid. Obviously, so look, yeah, City, Liverpool, Real Madrid. Under Ancelotti, he seems to tactically just know how to get through these games, and the fact that he's won it 4 times, he knows how to win a Champions League.
Last year was a joke.
Yeah, it was ridiculous how they won it last year, but he's won. But look, the fact of the matter is he's won it 4 times, so that's no luck. That's not that you got to say is very, very impressive. So. Madrid, especially now with Camavinga, Tchouaméni there as well, I think Madrid are there. Are Barcelona candidates for Champions League? I don't see them as that. I see them as having a good squad, and they've had a great summer. Are they really going to challenge for Champions League? I think it might be a year too early for them to do that. I think maybe next year.
How have they started in the league so far this season?
Okay.
They've been all right, haven't they?
Mixed bag. I think they drew to like Rayo Vallecano or something.
I think that was their first game, wasn't it?
And then they've won probably most other games. I think, look, I'm not to say they don't have a good squad. They do, but I just feel like the squad, there's so much change at that squad. I think it might take a year for it to really click. And I'm not saying they're not going to go far. I just don't see them winning it. Juventus, I'm not convinced at the moment.
They hate Allegri at the moment. Apparently, he's just playing dire football there.
I'm not convinced with Juventus. I don't think they're real challengers. And apart from Juventus, are there any, like Inter and AC, as much as they're doing really well in Serie A, they seem to be getting unstuck in European football. So I don't see them winning it. So who else is there? You got Bayern Munich, obviously they're contenders. So I was actually shocked when I looked at the squad, the odds. We're like 7th favourites. We think about it, it's like that's not terrible. I think we're 14-1 to win it. We were better. We were lower odds than Barcelona.
Oh really?
Barcelona were higher odds than us. I couldn't quite believe it.
Barca might be a good bet then.
They're 16-1, I think. Barcelona.
Let's have a look.
Spurs were 14-1 when what I saw.
Yeah, Spurs 14-1, but I got Barca at 12-1 here.
12-1.
But we're more favourites than Chelsea. Bigger favourites than Atletico, Juventus, Inter, AC.
Surprising, isn't it?
Yeah, 7th again. So the teams more likely to win it than us are Man City, PSG, Liverpool, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid and Barcelona, and then it's us, then Chelsea. I mean, the only thing I'll probably put Chelsea slightly more favourites than us, but apart from that, it's pretty spot on, to be honest.
Which is surprising, considering we haven't been in Champions League for 2 years, and we're finally back in it, and all of a sudden we're more favourites than all these other teams. So it
just shows the quality of what we've got. You know, we've got a Harry Kane, we've got Heung-min Son, we've got top quality players, and we've got an absolutely world class manager. So it's not surprising for me, to be honest.
Yeah, Fair enough. But yeah, what's a failure? Is not quarterfinals? Is that not, if we don't get there, is that a failure?
I think it all depends on the draw. It's the luck of the draw, to be honest. Because if qualify to the last 16, and then we get Real Madrid, or we get PSG or Bayern Munich, it's not a failure to go out to these teams. So I think it all depends on the story of the Champions League and actually who we get in the knockout rounds. But I think first and foremost, we just need to concentrate on getting out this group and getting lucky in the early rounds of the draw, because I don't want to come up against these really hard teams early on in the draw.
Yeah, because it'll be great to get through them, and then that gives you a massive boost. But you don't want to have a chance of going out so early, which would be a shame. But then you have what happened with England, like they had Germany in the last 16 of the quarterfinals of last 16 of the Euros, and the fact they got through it gave them such a major boost. Then they went all the way to the final after that.
But what do you think is a failure? Do you have the same thinking as me, or are you looking at a certain kind of stage of the Champions League where we need to get to?
I think it would be regardless of who we draw. I honestly think it would be disappointing if we didn't at least get to the quarters, just because mostly of course how Conte is perceived in the Champions League and in Europe and stuff like that. I think that would be I think he would be disappointed with that. I don't think he wants another season where he's not won a knockout game, and considering it's been so long since he's won one. So I think from that aspect, he would be disappointed with that. But I don't look. We're not expected to win it. I don't think anyone's demanding that we win the Champions League this season. So from that aspect, I don't think it's if we are to go out early, and as long as we have a good season in the league, then it can all be forgiven and it's all right, as long as we don't embarrass ourselves.
Sometimes though it can just go for you. Like that year Chelsea won the Champions League. Like it just went for them the whole way through. They had like the easiest run to the Champions League final I've ever seen in my life. You never know, we can get lucky. And if we do, don't ever... What do you think's harder, winning the Premier League or winning the Champions League?
I think Premier League's harder.
Yeah, I agree.
Premier League's definitely harder.
So it's funny because I was seeing an old clip. I don't know if it's old, but they were asking Henry, Carragher and Mika Richards, I think it was, what's harder, winning the Premier League or the Champions League? So Henry said Champions League.
Because he never won it.
No, sorry, Henry said Premier League. Carragher said Champions League, and Mika Richards said Premier League. And it's funny because all those three players won those competitions.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they were just trying to big themselves up pretty much. That's all it was.
I love those two on the Champions League show. It's really funny. They have great chemistry. But Premier League, I think logically you just have to be more consistent for 38 games over a season, especially Premier League as well, with the amount of good quality teams there are to be consistent. I think it's a lot harder, whereas Champions League, not to say Champions League is easy, but Champions League you can just get a bit of luck. Like what's it called? Spurs finished 4th and got to a final. Liverpool finished 5th and won the Champions League back in 2005, and then finished 4th and got to a final under Klopp. Teams, Chelsea finished 6th and won the Champions League. So that just goes to show how you can struggle in one and yet get no one would say that the Chelsea team that won the Champions League was even a good team. Like that year, they were awful in the league. Di
Matteo was the manager.
Exactly, and they ended up winning it. So you can't win the Premier League luckily, but you can win the Champions League luckily, and that's the difference.
Yeah, I
but not to
agree.
say Real Madrid won it 4 out of 5 times. That's super impressive, and that's nearly impossible to do what they did because of the element of luck. To do that 4 out of 5 times is really also super impressive.
That's just the nature of knockout tournaments, isn't it? Like luck does come into play.
It does. Of course
luck does come into play. Look at as much as people want to talk about how good Real Madrid were last year, there was massive elements of luck of every single one of their games.
Massive. Even in the final, Liverpool hitting the post and on the Courtois man of the match. In each game,
they were going out in the last 10 minutes every single round.
Yeah, it was madness. It was madness how they kept getting through. I've never seen anything. I think that might be one of the craziest runs. Maybe except for our run.
We've got a super chat here from the Jorical. Big up, Jory. And he says, in terms of importance, it goes Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, for me, I agree with that.
Yeah,
completely.
I think it's absolutely spot on, to be honest. And in terms of the squad, and if we're going to have to drop a competition, the Carabao's got to be the first one to go, obviously.
But what if we've got like a Champions League semi-final coming up, and then we have a North London derby on the weekend? Like, what do you do? What do you prioritise?
It depends where we are in the league.
Title charge.
In a title charge against Arsenal.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think...
What would you prioritise? You can only play Kane for one of those games. Which one do you pick?
Probably Arsenal.
Really?
I don't know, man. I think
like an impossible choice.
Yeah, I think
even though winning
a title challenge against Arsenal.
Not against Arsenal, whatever. Doesn't really matter. Maybe. Okay. I mean, could be.
If it's not, then I think the landscape changes. But if Arsenal beat us that game and they go, oh, we stopped you in the league, I wouldn't be able to handle that.
Yeah, true. But if we won, but the thing is, even like however amazing winning the league would be, which would be obviously one of the best days of my life. Like if we won the Champions League, the fact that Arsenal never done that also gives it a bit of more heightened importance, probably.
Yeah, to be honest, I think if that situation ever came about, they would both be up there on like equal importance, to be honest. And I think you look at teams like Liverpool who've been in that situation. Man City have been in that situation. They don't prioritise one or the other. They go full guns in both of them. Yeah. So that's what we would need to do.
Conte's been talking in his press conference, and he spoke about his desire to win a European trophy, and he says, for sure in my mind and ambition there is the will to have success in Europe. I know very well how difficult it is, but at the same time I have this ambition. So Conte talking up his ambition to be of success in Europe. He says, in my heart and in my mind, is my ambition to have success in Europe. So let's hope that it all starts coming together for him this season, because he's just hasn't had it go his way. And I think the most maybe worrying thing is the fact that the last two group stages he hasn't even made out the group. And that's definitely something.
What's the context of that though? Like, who do they have in the group, and how hard was it, and were they close? Like, what was the context?
I think one of them. I think his second season, they finished bottom, even below. Like, I think it was Sparta Prague. They finished even below them. In his first season, they finished. Where is it? Champions League. Where's their Champions League group? They finished third to Barcelona and Dortmund.
It's not like
not the end of the world.
How many points were it? There's a lot of points.
So they're 3 points behind Dortmund. Barcelona won the group, and then in his second season, I actually think in his second season the fact that they went out actually helped them win the league. But in that first season they got knocked down the groups. They made it to the final of Europa League, so it wasn't the end of the world. They still did pretty well there. And then in his second season, they finished bottom of a group of Madrid, Borussia Mönchengladbach, and Shakhtar Donetsk.
They've got to be doing better there.
That is really disappointing. And what's even worse is all they needed to do on the last game, they were at home to Shakhtar. They just needed a win, and they drew 0-0. And that would have been really frustrating. That would have been really frustrating.
Is there a case to say that maybe we could go out the Champions League in the group stages this year, and it will stand us in amazing stead second half of the season?
The reality is, if we were to go out in the group, it depends. If we were to finish
fourth,
third,
we need to finish fourth.
Third wouldn't help. If we finish fourth, that would probably help us, because it means one game a week, and then that's a lot easier to manage in the Premier League. So of course that would help us, but that's definitely not a situation that you want. And I think other teams will look at that and unless you have a serious go at the title in the second half of the season, that's not a situation you want.
You'd need to win it to justify it,
or at least run it close. Finish second. But you have to be it within a chance of winning it, 100% to justify that. Otherwise, that would be completely unacceptable. Especially with the group we have, there'd be no reason to go out in the groups. So. Another super chat here from My T Fam says, big up guys, much appreciate the non-stop content. Let's go against Arsenal B tomorrow. Yeah, and it really is Arsenal B team very much tomorrow, with a lot of their former players and even current players in the team. Let's see if there's any more quotes from Conte coming out.
While you're looking for that, we're going to play some of the training footage from the pre-Champions League training today. Full video is on the channel now if you want to go and see it, but let's go and have a sneak peek at it.
All right. So this is today. This was this morning. Spurs preparing for the Marseille game. There's Antonio Conte. Is that Conte? No, it's not Conte.
That's Bentancur.
No, I'm saying the coach. I'm not sure if that was Conte or not. But this is Spurs.
It's probably
preparing.
the Marine.
The Marine.
What's his name? Ventroni.
Ventroni. Wonder what they're doing here. It looks like was it 2 players trying to win the ball in the centre with the green shirts, and Spurs trying to play around them. Oh, it's one touch. So you're only allowed. So it looks like it's one touch passing.
They're always playing some funky games.
Yeah, Conte. They have the Conte coaching staff has all sorts. They have all sorts prepared.
All tricks up their sleeves, don't they?
It's going to be interesting though. A lot of people saying that Conte's 3-4-3 is one thing that maybe sometimes lets him down in Europe, because a lot of the times they can get outnumbered in the middle, and in Europe that can be a lot more detrimental than in domestic football. So I wonder if there might be a change. I don't think tomorrow there'll be a change of approach, but I wonder going forward if there might be.
But at Milan, didn't he use the 3-5-2 more often than the 3-4-3?
At Inter, that's a good point, and it didn't quite work either. So
and actually at Chelsea, he didn't do too badly in the Champions League. He got knocked out to an amazing Barcelona team.
Yeah, Messi hat-trick.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So who knows where they would have gone that year if they actually went through, because they, like you say, they played really well in the first game and should have taken a bigger lead.
You know that game where when Fulham, was it Fulham? No, who was it? I'm thinking of a different season. I was going to say I think Conte was in charge when they lost to Fulham, but I think a couple of times Juventus win Europa League under Conte, and they were like big favourites for the tournament, and they went out like fairly early, which would have been also fairly disappointing for him. But I'm pretty sure they reached the quarterfinals one year. I think it was in 2012-13. I'm trying to remember. Let's see when Conte. They lost in the quarters to Bayern Munich, losing 2-0 in both legs. They did make out the group that one. In fact, they beat Chelsea 3-0 in the group stages that year. But they ended up losing to Bayern Munich that season.
Who was that? Jose Mourinho's Chelsea?
That was Di Matteo's Chelsea.
Di Matteo's Chelsea.
Conte as well has caused the schedule incredible and crazy as Spurs prepare to play Marseille, Man City and Sporting Lisbon in the space of 7 days. Conte says this is the first time in my career to see a schedule like this, and says club should lobby the Premier League for a kinder schedule in the future. I don't think it's even a Premier League issue. It's just the fact that it's a World Cup, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's going through the same thing at the moment, and that's why I kept banging on about the need for a big squad this year, because of this reason exactly. Everything is so bunched up together this year.
He says, compared to other teams, Tottenham have been penalised a lot. We have been unlucky. I've spoken to the club that we need to pay great attention to speak to the Premier League. One day more or less can completely change your life. Maybe he's talking about the fact that we play Wednesday and what would we play Tuesday next week against Sporting. So maybe that's what he's not happy about. But I guess how do you change that? Because Man City, it's on a Saturday, so that's the best day for it. Unless you want to put it on a Friday. That's something that as well. The foreign leagues like Bundesliga and stuff,
they help out their teams.
Yeah, they'll put their games on a Friday to give their teams an extra day in Europe. But here in the Premier League, they don't give a shit.
The only reason they put games on Fridays here is for TV revenue. That's it. They don't give a shit about their teams in Europe. They really don't. The
Premier League couldn't care less how their teams do in Europe. All they care about is how they look in the Premier League, and that's all. And that's why there is never any budge or anything. There's never any help.
So I've got Conte's record in the Champions League here. Actually, 36 games, 12 wins, 13 draws, 11 defeats, which is not great.
11 defeats. Yeah, he's lost a third of his games.
Only one ever win in the knockout rounds.
Yeah, and that was against Celtic, and that's what I said. Yeah.
So and his victories have come. Listen to these teams. I mean, he's never actually beaten a top side. I mean, he has, but not many. He's got Celtic twice, Karabag twice, Atletico Madrid, Borussia Dortmund, Borussia Mönchengladbach, Chelsea, Copenhagen, Nordirland, Shakhtar Donetsk, and Slavia Prague. So he comes unstuck when he plays the best.
Yeah,
Europe.
maybe that must be a reason for that. Why do we reckon that is? I don't know. Maybe why is his football more suited to playing in the Premier League domestically than it is in Europe? Do the European teams figure him out more easily or something? It's a difficult one to put your finger on as to why that is.
I'm sure we'll come up with our conclusions this year to see how well we do in the Champions League. But we've got another super chat here from Jory, and says, is a cup competition like the Champions League something we can have a real shot at while still being a bit short for the league title? What would you say to that?
I mean, I would say probably not. I don't think you can have a proper shot at both, in my opinion, because there will, of course, because of our squad. As much as our squad is in a decent way, I don't think it's deep enough where you won't have to compromise at some point later in the season. If we're going in the knockouts late and we're going for big, if we are look, let's say we're in a title race and also in a quarter final. I think we're going to have to be in a position where we compromise one of them, and I think we're not to say that we're just because we rest one player we're definitely going to lose, but you're risking that potential eventuality, in my opinion.
What about when Liverpool were going deep in the FA Cup, deep in the Champions League, deep in the Premier League, fighting for titles? I wouldn't say their squad was any deeper than ours is right now.
You wouldn't say their squad is any deeper than ours right now. Yeah, but they didn't win. They I guess they went for all of them, didn't they? But they're freaks. Their quality is a lot higher than ours. Let's be honest. The quality of their squad's a lot higher. So I don't know. I think it's a bit different situation, in my opinion.
Quality is higher, but number-wise wasn't higher in terms of how many players they actually had and the quality of strength and depth. Like, their strength and depth wasn't that great. They were playing like the same 11 pretty much every game.
Their strength and depth still probably better than ours, I reckon. I would say, and I think the quality is that much higher. That makes a difference, and they can cope with that. Whereas for us, I think it's just not enough to make up that difference, in my opinion. I think the quality difference is too big, whereas we're really going to have that kind of effort for certain games, and then certain times we're going to have to play players who maybe Conte doesn't want to play, and that might make a difference for us.
All right.
I hope I'm wrong, but
let's see. Do we have anyone?
Yep.
It's bad news. It's bad news, man.
Very bad news. Bad news for Marseille, anyway.
Hello.
You right, Carl? How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Nice to see you, Kyle. We're gonna win in the Champions League on Wednesday, Kyle.
Obviously, I got asked that question by Dermot last night. Now you're asking. You know the answer to that.
You're doing the rounds on all the Spurs channels.
Hell yeah, I am. Give me a hell yeah, everyone. If you think we're gonna win, give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
What do you think the score's gonna be? What do you think the score's gonna be?
Hey, it's us asking the questions here.
It doesn't matter what you ask.
No, I said 3-1. Sim said 3-0. What do you think it's going to be?
5-0.
5-0.
5.
What do you think Conte does with the Son, Richarlison, Kulusevski situation?
I think he'll start Kulu because, let's be honest, he's not going to start Richarlison over Kulu because Kulu's more better. Like, I'd start Kulu ahead of Richie, then bring Richarlison on to score the winner. So I think that's what he'll probably do. But we'll have to wait and see what the lineup's going to be, won't we? Because
we will.
You'll see the lineup. And first off, I just want to say happy 140th birthday to Tottenham for yesterday.
Exactly. Happy 140th birthday. Do you
Yeah,
remember the 125th year anniversary?
2017, mate.
What?
2017.
No,
Uh,
125th year when I think it was 2008.
8.
That was it, yeah, against Aston
2007.
Villa.
2007.
2007-8 season, yeah.
Under Martin Yole.
Martin Yo. Yeah.
We'll go with it.
Then
We'll go with
the
it.
big man, the Dutch man. Yeah, the big man. Like, everyone misses him. And yeah, he's Tottenham through and through. And yeah, roll on Wednesday and then roll on Saturday. You're good.
Carl, quickly, how far are we going to go in the Champions League?
All the way, mate.
Predictions.
All the
All the
way.
way. We're
All
going to
the
win.
way. All the way. We're going all
right.
the way. Because what's the odds on us winning it?
I think we said 14 to 1 or something.
The last time I checked, we were 30 to 1. I checked.
Well, they're getting scared of us, Carl. They're getting scared of us.
You know that, mate. And I will see you all at the Leicester game next Saturday. But
All right, mate.
you know that. Enjoy the game tomorrow, and let's hope we can see some scenes.
Let's hope so, mate. Let's hope so. It's going to be a crazy atmosphere tomorrow night. So very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, enjoy the game, and I will see you all next Saturday. So,
all right.
Yeah. All right. Who let the kids out? David did. David did.
See you later, mate.
See you, mate. All right.
Let's move on and let's bring on Sean Butler. How you doing, Sean? You all right, mate?
I'm good, boys. How you guys doing?
Lovely to see you, Sean.
Yeah, good. Looking forward to tomorrow night. It's going to be a crazy atmosphere at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. How is your confidence levels coming into tomorrow?
Yeah, sky high, mate. Sky high. Using that little tool that I was talking to you boys about, I basically completely expired all of my 3 minutes analysing Marseille, their videos.
You got a 3-week trial in 5 hours.
I had to reach out to them to say, why can't I download any more match reports? And they said, you've used everything you're entitled to.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I'm confident.
So give us a breakdown. Give us a breakdown, Sean. What can we expect from Marseille?
I think they're going to be tough. I think the battle's won and lost in the midfield. If I'm entirely honest, I think look, they're Guendouzi, however you say his name, is probably their talisman. Depending on whether or not Payet's fit,
he's not. I don't think.
He's not. Yeah, that makes things a lot easier for us. Chenzik Under, I'm not sure how you say, he's a Turkish fellow who's probably going to take his place at the in the kind of forward line. He's not someone that worries me too much. I think there's a couple of danger men outside of Guendouzi. I think Jonathan Klaus is a decent player, and Nuno Tavares is probably the player that I would worry about. I think he's got the most one-on-ones. This is me now reading off from memory the stats that I looked at. I think he's got the most one-on-ones accuracy or success rate in Ligue 1 this season.
But Sean, is that due to the kind of opposition he's facing? Because when he was in the Premier League last year for Arsenal, I mean, he looked like a poor player, didn't he?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I do think that we have to bear in mind that whilst a lot of these people are Arsenal rejects, they are going to have a little bit more knowledge about our team than probably we would about theirs, and I think a little bit more of an anticipation or an energy to do one over on us. So we have to be careful. But from what I've looked at, they look pretty tricky in the midfield. And I was listening to what you guys were saying earlier about Nuno, playing with a 3-4-3 and in midfield, sometimes getting out. We see it in the Premier Legue.
Talking about Conte, not Nuno. I thought we went back in time there for a little bit.
Sorry, my bad. Yeah, Conte getting overrun in midfield. And that's the only concern I have for tomorrow. Really, is the midfield battle and how Marseille will turn up. I don't really fear their forward line. And I certainly don't. I think we can have a lot of success if we can get the ball through to them up front. I'm expecting a really dominant performance, but I wouldn't be surprised to see like a little bit of a nervy, like a tentative opening sort of 20 minutes. But for me, the battle is going to be won and lost in the midfield, and I just hope that we've got, Højbjerg and Bentancur, if they are the two that are going to start. I hope that they're aware of the battle that's going to come and that they put in an absolute excellent performance, because it'll be superb just to get everyone's Champions League nerves out the way. We got very fortuitous with not only the draw, it's a very favourable draw, but also to get your first match against the team that came from Pool D or Pot 4, whatever it was, at home. You couldn't have picked for a more favourable opportunity to kind of to get everybody off to the right start, and I expect nothing but that tomorrow. But like I say, the battle will be won or lost, from Højbjerg and Bentancur, how they dictate.
In terms of personnel tomorrow, in terms of the starting lineup, what do you do with the forward line situation with Kulusevski, Son, Richarlison?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I've been going back and forth on it. For me, I think obviously Kane's obviously going to start and play. I think that it's important that we have Sonny available against Man City. Just because I think that, I've said this a few times, I think that thus far this season, part of the reason, not all the reason, but the reason why people are getting a little bit concerned with Sonny's form is obviously down to his confidence. But I also think it's because of the structure and the shape of the team has been pushed down the left, with those players down the left, whether it be Sessegnon or Perisic and Ben Davies, all getting shifted further forward. There's limits to space for Sonny, and it makes the opposition team, restructure accordingly. Having Romero back gives a bit more balance, and we saw that against Fulham. But for me, the reason why I think people are a little bit frustrated with Sonny is because, in no small part, he hasn't had the ability to get into the space and the positions that he usually does and use his skill, which is his pace, in the most kind of optimistic or the most favourable fashion. I think we need that against Man City, especially if Kyle Walker's not fit. And I saw you guys telling me last night on the WhatsApp group that it looks like he's out injured. So for me, I think Sonny has to play against City. And on that basis, I think that it would make sense to probably start with Decky and Richarlison and Kane and see how those three handle it for the first time. It's a bit of a risk, obviously, starting with them. We haven't seen that three ball start up front yet, at least to get the first 60 minutes of the game. But that's probably the one that makes most sense to me. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, on the flip side, though, if we do persist with Sonny and he does get his first goal of the season, on Wednesday, that would give him a massive confidence boost, wouldn't it, going into the game on Saturday? So maybe, you could look at it both ways, can't you?
Yeah, it's a great point. It's a great counterpoint. I worry a little bit about how many. I mean, if you do that and he scores, it works out, it's brilliant. But he will have played 5 games in 11 days or whatever it is, right? I'm not sure what the numbers are right now, but there's a lot of games coming thick and fast. And listen, it's an interesting point. For me, if that happens and then we still start him against Man City, then you have to imagine that he's going to be rested for at least one of the next 2 games. And I think that the Sporting game is going to be more difficult, and it's another game where he'll be needed and required in that game or the following Tuesday. So I think you have to rest one of them at some point. And for me, I think if you look at the games where he's most necessary and most needed, it's probably not tomorrow night. So for me, I probably would be okay with Decky and Richarlison playing there.
Yeah, well, we should be okay with it, to be fair. And if he does choose to rest on it shouldn't be a big deal, because Richarlison and Decky both deserve their place. When you're looking at the right wing back situation, obviously we're imagining Perisic will probably come in for Sessegnon, but do you think Emerson will play again, or will Doherty get a first start of the season, or maybe even Spence?
It's an interesting one. And the fact that we haven't really seen Doherty play a single minute since like I said a few times, it was crazy to me that Doherty was rushed back in the very first game of pre-season against the K-League. I think it was. They got 45 minutes. I think that whole thing set him back in his recovery. The fact that we haven't seen a single minute for him, I'd be surprised if he just gets an initial start. I think that the only way you're going to see him get into the team is through at least a subs appearance where he's going to get 10 minutes to warm himself into it before he gets given the 90. And I don't know if we're going to see Spence either. yet. I think that we will end up seeing Spence play a meaningful part in the season, but for now, I think we're probably going to see Emerson play. Even though I don't necessarily agree with it, I think that's probably the most likely outcome.
Yeah, you're talking about the need to maybe to rest Sonny for a game because he's played 5 games in however many days, but Emerson's played the exact same minutes, hasn't he?
Yeah. No, listen, I get it. I totally get it. I just think we have. I think Conte's the sort of guy that doesn't want to change unless he absolutely has to. As far as I can tell, the fact that he doesn't seem to want to use the 5 subs rule as often as he can. I don't think he's ever in any of the games thus far used
I think he might have done it in one of the games, maybe in the Southampton game, but I can't remember.
But you saw on Sunday, with Arteta making so many changes, how he can backfire, can't he? He can disjoint you if you make too many changes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was just madness, naivety from Arteta doing what he did then. It just completely just ripped out his midfield. I'm very willing to see Doherty come in. I was calling for it on my channel. I'd like to see Doherty get a place because I think it brings more balance to the team again. Having Romero or Doherty, and ideally both of them on some games, is going to bring more balance and make the shape or the style of play a little bit less predictable. And for me, I would love to see it. I'd find it difficult to get my head around the idea that Doherty hasn't played a single minute in the season thus far, to then be given 90 minutes in the opening Champions League game. If it happens, I'm okay with it, but I'd be surprised to see a guy not be at least given 20 minutes. I think if one of them does come in, listen, I don't know. I'm thinking out loud. Actually, I don't predict Spence to play either. I agree with what you're saying. If we do want to rotate and rest, then at some point you're going to have to see some transitions. I just don't think it's going to happen against Marseille. I think you'll still see Emerson, even though I don't agree with it. I'd like to see one or the other players.
Sean, talking about now Conte's record in Europe is obviously quite well known that he's got quite a poor record in Europe. He's only made the quarterfinals once in it was actually at his first attempt back in Juventus back in 2013. What do you think for you he needs to do this season with Tottenham to maybe shake that reputation off? And do you think that would affect him going into the season, having that kind of reputation of not being good in Europe? And do you think is that reputation a concern for us?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I would imagine that he just has priorities, right? I think that I don't know. I've not studied the specifics of the teams that he played when he was with Chelsea or Inter Milan, on the Wednesday nights versus the following Saturdays, but. And I don't know if there's any truth to the idea. You let me know if you guys know. But did he play weakened teams in the Champions League because he prioritises the Premier League all the time?
No, I don't believe so.
No?
From what I've seen, I don't believe it was a case of him resting players. That's why they lost.
Okay. So then, maybe it's just the idea that, and I hear it often touted that Champions League teams or in Champions League games. The games are won and lost in the midfield, and that the system that Conte plays doesn't necessarily suit European football, which is a problem. If that is the case, like I say, I don't know, I haven't looked into it, but I'll trust what you guys say. If he hasn't rested players and if he's just got into games with the same team and the same system, and it's just happened to be undone more frequently than he has in the various leagues he's participated in, then that is a concern that maybe the system needs a bit more it needs to be a bit more dynamic, needs to be a bit more fluid. And the one thing that I've come to see from Conte is that I think he's someone that kind of trains. He's got a match day plan, and whatever he does on the training ground, I think it's very specific and very organised. And I think that kind of plays into the idea that he doesn't like making substitutions unnecessarily just for the sake of it, because he's spent all week with a specific idea in mind and doesn't want to make proactive changes. He'd rather be reactive if it's not working. And maybe that's a problem when it comes to the Champions League. Maybe he hasn't had as many minutes on the training ground to be able to plan for those games. I don't know, mate. I don't know, to be honest. I'm speculating massively. Hopefully it's going to be a record that gets broken this year. I'd love to see Tottenham go deep in the league, in the Champions League.
But is there like a minimum, do you think, he has to kind of do for Tottenham this season, the Champions League, for maybe people to be satisfied with how he can do in Europe, or not really? Because obviously it's going to be difficult to win it, but is it a case of unless he wins it, that's always going to be thrown at him?
Not by Tottenham fans. I think Tottenham fans are very grateful to have him, and think that they probably look at people like Conte, and as much as they love Tottenham Hotspur and expect Tottenham to be at the very highest level, I think everybody has the recognition that this guy has always been at the very highest level in terms of the teams he's managed, and he's probably taken a slight step down without being disrespectful to Tottenham to manage it. So I don't think that people will be ungrateful or will hold it against him as Tottenham fans. Maybe the media, maybe other people will continue to throw that brick in his direction because that's what they do. They want to create stories. But for me, I think that the minimum that Tottenham should expect or should hope for from him will be, I think, quarterfinals. If we don't make it to the quarterfinals, I think it will be a disappointment. And if we make it past the quarterfinals, I think it will be deemed as a success.
All right. And score prediction?
For Marseille, 3-1 or 3-0. I'm probably going to... No, I'm going to go 3-0, actually. I think it will be a comfortable evening in the end. I think it'll be a nervy opening, for sure, boys. But I think once we get comfortable and realise that they're really not that good, and I'm looking for more from Højbjerg and Bentancur just to carry on their dominance in the midfield. And I think 3-0 will be the end result. Comfortable.
All right. Big up, Sean. Thanks for coming on today, mate. And we
Cheers,
shall
boys.
see you on Saturday.
Nice one, Shawnee.
Big up, big up. Is there anyone else? All right, so I think we will leave it there for today. Predicted lineup coming your way, press conferences with Lloris and Conte coming your way. And yeah, I think that's it for today.
That's it.
And also, obviously, live training session now on the channel. So go and check out the training session and see how the boys are getting on pre-Marseille today. So everyone, thank you for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.